Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state and spell your full name for the record.
Michael Pope, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-P-O-P-E.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can we start off by you telling us how you are currently employed?
I'm employed by the Marion Police Department.
And what's your current title or role right now within the Marion Police Department?
I'm assigned to the Bureau of Investigations.
Can you tell us about your educational background?
I went to the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy in 2009. I graduated there in 2010. I worked for the Burlington Police Department for 12 years until December of 2021, and I moved to Marion after that. And in December of 23, I became an investigator.
When you were employed with the Burlington Police Department, did you work any special assignments or were you on any task force? What was your role with Burlington?
I was a patrol officer for 9 years, and I was in a violent crimes unit as well as later assigned to the Southeast Iowa Narcotics Task Force.
And so you joined Marion Police Department in 2021?
That's correct.
And you said you joined the Bureau of Investigations in 2023. Did I get that?
Yes.
Okay. Within the Bureau of Investigations, do you handle all types of crimes that require investigation, or are you specifically violent crimes, specifically property crime?
All crimes.
As part of the Bureau of Investigations with the Marion Police Department, did you become involved in the homicide investigation of Melody Hoffmanin?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell us when you became involved in that investigation?
We were contacted, I think it was a Saturday, I'm not sure what day, by the lieutenant. He advised us that there was a body found in Iowa County, and we needed to report to the Marion Police Department to start investigating that.
Where were you at when you got that notification?
I was at home.
So, as part of the investigative bureau, when you're off, are you still on call for big stuff?
Yes.
Once you got that call, did you then head into the Marion Police Department?
Yes.
Tell us what happened when you first get there.
We met with the investigator from Iowa County, who kind of explained what was going on, and then we kind of made a game plan for attempting to locate leads and other evidence.
So this game plan that you all collectively worked on together, what was your first assignment in that game plan?
I think the first thing I did was we went to Morgan Creek Park and Cherry Hill Park to see if there was anything at those locations, because we had seen the Life 360 GPS app from Melody's phone that indicated she was at those two parks.
So at the time you get called into the investigation, Marion Police Department is already in possession of Melody's phone.
I believe Megan, her mother, was reporting her missing at about the time that we were called in.
And you mentioned this Life 360 app. Throughout this trial, we've heard a little bit about it. But generally, what information were you provided from that application that directed your next steps in the investigation?
We could see that the app had been turned, the GPS locator had been turned off at some point driving through Marion. But prior to that, we could see that she was at the Morgan Creek Park and Cherry Hill Park, and almost at Morgan Creek Park for almost an hour.
That her phone was at Morgan Creek Park for almost an hour?
Yes.
Okay. So once it was determined, was that approximately 51 minutes?
Yes.
Once it was determined that Melody was at Morgan Creek Park for approximately an hour, what'd you do with that information?
Went to Morgan Creek Park, looked around, the area where the locator indicated they were stopped. It was nighttime, so it was hard to see. There's not really any lights in that park, but we found some things that were kind of interesting to us.
Okay. Can you recall what day it was that you went out to the park?
It was the 20th of February.
And you said that you did find some things at Morgan Creek Park that were interesting to you or potentially relevant to your investigation?
We thought it possibly could be part of the investigation.
Can you tell us what it was that you located at Morgan Creek Park that you thought had some potential importance?
In the parking lot where we believe that what the GPS locator indicated they were at the most time, we located in the southeast corner a yellow stain on the concrete that appeared to have like a flaky type substance, and then what appeared to be some liquid that had run off of where the substance was. There was a picnic table area that had some amber colored drops kind of all around the table. So we weren't sure what those items were at the time.
And so when you found these two areas at the park, when I say areas, these stains, for lack of a better word, what was done with them?
I returned the next day during the daylight. I took photographs of the area, and I took swabs of the area and then sent those to the DCI crime lab for examination.
Is it typical that when swabs of substances are obtained, that those are sent off to the DCI laboratory?
Yes.
To be clear, within the Marion Police Department, do you guys have the technical capability to do tests on things like that?
No, we don't.
What, if anything, did you learn from the swabs that were sent off from the samples you took at Morgan Creek Park?
I specifically know we learned that the white or the yellow substance that had the flaky items in it was determined to be vomit.
Was there an attempt to obtain DNA or other identifying information from the swabs from the vomit or the amber liquid?
I don't believe so.
While you were at Morgan Creek Park on that second trip back in the daylight, did you guys photograph the areas that you were searching and the items that you located while you were out there?
Yes.
I'd like to show you some photographs, what have been previously marked as States Exhibit 11A through 11O. Tell me when those are up there.
They're up there.
Okay. I'm going to scroll through these fast. Do you recognize these photos that are contained in all exhibits marked 11?
Yes, I do.
Are they photographs that you took or that were taken during your search at Morgan Creek Park?
Yes.
And if I understood you correctly, were those taken on the 21st?
Actually, those were taken on the 20th. The
20th.
original date was the 19th at nighttime.
Of February?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state offers 11A through 11O.
Any objection to 11A through 11O?
No objection.
11A through 11O are admitted.
Investigator Pope, while you were out at the Morgan Creek Park doing this search, were you the lone investigator who was doing that, or were you there in a team capacity?
Sergeant Joel Peshik from the Lynn County Sheriff's Office was also there.
So there were two of you?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I have permission to publish the exhibits that were just admitted?
Published now.
Investigator Pope, starting first with Exhibit 11A, can you tell us what we're seeing in this photograph?
It's the marker sign for Morgan Creek Park.
And to give us some spatial context, on the left side of this photograph, would you agree that there is a road running?
Yes.
And do you know directionally which way that road runs?
East and west.
And are we facing west from this vantage point?
Yes.
Okay. What road is that?
I don't know.
Would it be E Avenue?
It could be.
Okay. And what appears to be a road that runs right to left across this photo, is this a public road or is this a part of the parking lot to Morgan Creek Park?
It's the entrance to Morgan Creek Park.
Looking next at 11B, what are we seeing in this photograph?
North from the entrance of Morgan Creek Park.
So if we go back to 11A, would this be if we made a right turn on this driveway?
Yes.
Looking into the park?
Correct.
And what are we seeing in States 11C?
This is the parking lot area where the GPS locator indicated Melody's phone was for the approximately 51 minutes or an hour.
To give us some context of where this parking lot is within the park area, are you able from this photograph that's shown on the screen now in 11B to tell us where that little shelter house is located within the park?
I believe it's right there behind the speed limit 15 sign.
On the right side of the screen here?
Yes.
Okay. So you've gone up this road and turned the corner back into the park?
Correct.
And States 11D, what are we seeing here?
That's the picture, the southeast corner of the parking lot.
To the right of what we see in 11C?
Yes.
And in 11E, what are we seeing?
The picnic table area.
And in 11F?
That's a photo of the yellow substance that was later found to be vomit.
Is this the first parking spot on the left of the SUV that we see in 11D?
Yes.
And what are we seeing in States 11G?
It's a different angle of the same picture of the vomit and the trail that led away from it.
And 11H?
The park picnic table area again.
And is this the same shelter picnic table area that we saw in the other photograph?
Yes, it is.
So we're still in that same parking lot and area of the park.
Yes.
11I, tell us what we need to be focused on in this photo.
The small circular drops on the ground, they don't really appear to be amber because of the darkness from the shade, but those were the drops that we kind of noted as interesting. We weren't sure what they were.
Are these the drops that you earlier in your testimony referred to as being the amber drops?
Yes.
And is that also what we're seeing in 11J?
Yes.
What are we seeing in States 11K?
Collecting a sample of the vomit on the ground.
On the left side of this screen, tell us what this is that I'm circling.
It's a cotton swab for collecting biologicals that we use for these investigations.
Are those swabs sometimes referred to as buccal swabs?
Yes.
When you use a buccal swab as part of your investigation, how are those packaged prior to use?
They're prepackaged and almost like you see at a doctor's office. You peel them open, and then the swab is inside of that.
The packaging that's on those buccal swabs, does it keep the swabs from being pre-contaminated?
Yes.
Once these swabs are collected, what do you do with them to ensure that they're not mixed in with other things?
Place them into a evidence holding box. They're kind of small. They're specifically made to hold the buccal swabs.
And then the box that those are put in, those are preserved until they can be transported to the DCI lab?
Yes.
11L, what are we seeing here?
Taking swabs of the liquid area that had ran to the south from the vomit area.
So what we see in 11K, there was liquid that ran off of this pile of vomit?
Yes.
And 11L would be what you believed to be the liquid that ran from there?
Yes.
In M, what are we seeing here?
One of those amber drops and getting ready to collect another buccal swab of that.
And to be clear, when you move on to the amber liquid to collect a sample, you're using new buccal swabs?
Yes.
And an O?
Just more of
Excuse me, an N, I apologize.
just more of the amber drops that were kind of everywhere.
And an O, what are we seeing here?
Just kind of an overview of more of how those dots or drops were on the ground.
Thank you. Your Honor, will you clear my screen, please? Investigator Pope, the area at this park at Morgan Creek Park, can you confirm that Morgan Creek Park is within the Lynn County border?
Yes.
Yes, you can confirm it, or yes, it is in Lynn County.
Both.
Okay, thank you. That question wasn't very clear. As part of your role as an investigator in this homicide death investigation, were you also part of a team that executed a search warrant at 4006 Hummingbird in Hiawatha?
Yes, I was.
The address on Hummingbird, is that structure that's there a trailer?
Yes, it is.
And does that trailer sit within a trailer park of sorts?
Yes, it does.
Do you recall the name of that trailer park?
I do not.
Can you tell us what the significance of that address was to your investigation? What led you there?
We believed it to be the residence of McKinley Louisma. It was where his vehicle was located the previous night prior to the search warrant, parked in front of that trailer.
I want to back up a little bit. Believed it was the residence of the defendant. Did you have knowledge about other occupants or residents that were also residing at that Hummingbird address?
Yes.
Who else was known to you to reside there?
Carl Allen, Patty Bascom, Nakia Svoboda, and Logan Kimpton.
When you went to execute this search warrant, do you recall how many law enforcement officers were a part of the team of investigators who went in to execute this?
I believe there was 4.
Generally speaking, when a search warrant is executed, is there a standard procedure that's used or an order of operations that's conducted when you execute a search warrant?
Yes.
Can you generally just walk us through what happens when a search warrant's executed on a residence?
In this case, we knew that the residents were home, so we secured them, just made sure that they didn't have access to weapons. And then we take photographs of the residents prior to the search warrant. Then we search the residence and then take photos again at the end of it.
So prior to anything being searched, photographs are taken?
Yes.
What's the purpose of taking those overall photos before the search warrant is executed?
To show the residents how it was when we entered.
And is that because during search warrants things get moved and moved?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us within this trailer how many separate bedrooms there were?
3.
And Throughout this search, were you able to determine who occupied which bedrooms?
Yes.
Can you tell us who all shared bedrooms within this residence?
Carl Allen and Patty Bascom shared the primary bedroom, which was in the north end of the trailer, and Nakia Svoboda and McKinley Louisma shared the south bedroom.
And were you able to determine where Kimpton slept within the residence?
Yes.
Where was that?
It was in the bedroom that was kind of in the middle of the trailer.
During the search of the Hummingbird address in Hiawatha, were there cell phones that were seized?
Yes.
And were you able to determine whose cell phones you guys collected?
We collected 2 cell phones from Nakia Svoboda.
Were there other phones within the residence that weren't collected?
Yes, we actually collected 2 other phones that weren't working, but we don't know who they belong to.
Okay, so 4 phones total were found, all were collected, 2 belonged to Nakia and 2 were inoperable.
Yes.
Was there within this home a machete that was located?
Yes.
Can you tell us where within the home that was found?
Inside a closet in the room where we found an ID for Logan Kimpton.
And when you say it was found inside the room, where within the room was that found?
It was inside the closet.
And you said you also found an ID for Logan Kimpton in that room?
Yes.
Where was the ID located generally?
Inside of a wallet on top of a plastic table.
You did note that, generally speaking, during search warrants, photographs are taken.
Yes.
Were photos taken during the execution of this specific search warrant?
Yes, they were.
Your Honor, if I may show this witness what has previously been marked as Exhibits 12A through 12C and 12H through 12Q, please. I'm going to scroll through these. Do you recognize the photos?
Yes.
Give me 1 second. The photos that I just scrolled through for you, Investigator Pope, were these the photographs that were taken during the search warrant?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would offer 12A through C and 12H through Q.
Any objection to Exhibits 12A through 12C and 12H through 12Q?
No objection.
12A through 12C and 12H through 12Q are admitted.
May I have permission to publish those photographs, Your Honor?
Published at this time.
Investigator Pope, starting first with Exhibit 12A, can you tell us what we're seeing in this photograph?
It's a picture of the trailer showing the address of the trailer.
And is it important when taking photographs to also document the address of the residence that you're searching?
Yes.
12B, what are we looking at from this vantage point?
It's the back side of the trailer.
The steps or porch area that are seen in this photograph, is that the main entry point to this home?
I don't believe so. I think that's on the other side.
So this residence has 2 entry doors?
Yes.
And in 12C, is this the second entry door at this residence?
Yeah, I believe that's the main entrance there.
(12H), can you tell us what we are seeing in this photograph?
It's the closet door in the room belonging to Logan Kimpton.
And you knew that this room belonged to Logan Kimpton because this is the room where you found his driver's license or his ID?
That's correct.
Okay. And in 12I, what are we seeing here?
The black object leaning against the wall is a machete.
Is that machete within the closet door that we saw in the previous photo?
Yes, it is.
The location and position of this machete leaned up against the door frame, is that the location and position that it was found when you guys opened that door?
Yes.
And 12J, what are we seeing here?
It's a photograph with evidence marker next to it, next to the same machete.
That tell us what an evidence marker is and what the purpose of it is?
It's to mark what item we're calling that piece of evidence, as well as who collected it, possibly.
In 12K, what are we seeing in this photograph?
It's a cell phone that was found on the floor.
Do you recall which floor it was found on?
The floor of Logan Kimpton's room.
And in 12L, are we seeing another photograph?
It's a cell phone on the table in Logan Kimpton's room.
12M, what are we focusing on in this photograph?
The black and milds in the windowsill of the room.
Why were the black and milds on that windowsill important to your investigation?
This particular window is in the bedroom belonging to McKinley and Nakia, and on the night of the incident, McKinley stopped at Quick Star to purchase cigarettes or cigars.
And he purchased cigarettes and cigars, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And the type of cigars that were purchased, were they the same type and kind of these black and mild seen on that windowsill?
I believe so.
(12N), more phones?
Yes, those are the 2 phones belonging to Nakia Svoboda.
And do you recall which room of the residence these phones were located?
She had them on her person.
12O?
It's the back side of one of the phones that she had.
Investigator Pope, when phones are found and or recovered, is there a process or a procedure that's used to secure the phones from being accessed even remotely?
Yes.
Can you explain that to us?
There's a couple options. The primary we use on scene is to put the phone in airplane mode, which disconnects it from digital services such as data or Wi-Fi.
And was that done with the phones that you recovered that were operable during this search warrant?
Yes.
Once those phones are collected, where do they go?
In this case, they went to the Marion Police Department and then to Cedar Rapids Police Department later for a forensic download.
States P looking at those same two phones.
Yes.
And Q, was there anything in this photograph that was important to your investigation?
This is just a common bathroom for the residents in the hallway near the bedrooms of McKinley and Logan.
Was this the only bathroom within that trailer?
No, there was one attached to the primary bedroom.
When you looked in and or searched this bathroom, were you looking for, well, what were you looking for?
Any weapons, any evidence, could be like biological evidence, whether it be blood or other things that might be pertinent to the investigation.
Did you do that thinking that this was the bathroom of primary use for the defendant and for Logan Kimpton?
Yes.
So when you go in and execute a search warrant, would it be fair to say that you are searching for more than just physical or tangible items?
Yes.
To be clear, when you looked in this bathroom, did you find any biological matter, weapons, anything that furthered your investigation?
We did not.
But you checked?
Yes.
Your Honor, if you'll clear my screen, please. I just want to make sure that I understood you correctly. The phones that were found in Logan Kimpton's bedroom, were those the two phones that you identified as being inoperable?
Yes.
And so the two phones that you found in the physical possession of Nakia Svoboda, those phones were operable?
Yes, the iPhone that's navy blue had cell service. The other, just she indicated didn't have cell service, just worked on Wi-Fi when she was at home or somewhere where there was Wi-Fi.
As part of the investigation, did you make contact with Dakota Van Patten?
Yes, I did.
And when you initially made contact with him, can you recall when that initial contact was made?
Probably within a half hour to an hour of finishing the execution of the search warrant on Hummingbird Lane.
And what date was that, if you can remember?
I believe it was the 20th, but I'm not sure.
But still within very few days from the discovery of Melody Hoffman's body.
Yes.
When you made that contact with Dakota Van Patten, where did that contact happen?
At his residence.
And what was the address there?
270th South 15th Northwest. I think it's a street.
270 15th Street South, Northwest?
Yes.
Can you describe for us or explain to us under what circumstances that contact was made?
Lieutenant Fort contacted me and asked us to go and try to make contact with Dakota, as he may have some information regarding the investigation.
At the point where you were contacted and directed in Dakota Van Patten's direction, what information did you know, or when you say it was believed he may have some information regarding the investigation, what specifically did you know at that point?
I was told that McKinley had named him as someone that was part of the incident.
And by the incident, you mean the killing of Melody Hoffman?
Yes.
When you made contact with Dakota Van Patten, I know you said he was at his home. What was he doing when you ran into him?
He was walking out of his front door, getting ready to grill some food
And where was that grill located at the house?
on the front porch of the residence.
Did you, when you made contact with Dakota, ask him to come back to the Marion Police Department with you?
Yes.
And did he come?
Yes.
When you got back to the Marion Police Department with Mr. Van Patten, was an interview conducted with him?
Yes, I didn't go back with him initially. Sergeant Ward transported him to the Marion Police Department.
The purpose of that transport back to MPD was to conduct an interview, though.
That's correct.
Ultimately, did you end back up at that 270 15th Street address?
Yes.
And was the purpose of that to execute a search warrant at that residence as well?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what kind of residence that is?
It's a single-family home. I think it's a story and a half. So it's one level, and then there's an attic with a basement.
The location of that residence, does it sit near an intersection?
Yes, it does.
And what intersection does that sit near?
15th Street, and I'm not sure what the cross street is. Might be Johnson Avenue, but I'm not sure.
Possibly that it's Hinckley?
Sure.
Okay. Would you have taken a picture of that?
I didn't. I believe Audrey Walters, our evidence tech, did.
If a photograph was taken of an intersection at the time that you were executing a search warrant, would that indicate to you that that was the location of the house?
Yes.
Through your investigation, were you able to determine, other than obviously Dakota Van Patten, who else was associated with that address on 15th Street?
Yes.
Who else lived there?
Dustin Prince and Kendra Gallegos.
What, if any, relationship did Dustin Prince and Kendra Gallegos have to Dakota Van Patten?
Dustin Prince is Dakota's brother, and Kendra was Dustin's girlfriend.
During the search of this residence, were you able to determine who was associated with which living space or which bedroom space?
Yes.
Do you recall how many standard bedrooms were in this house?
2.
And where were those bedrooms located?
On the first floor.
Who resided, who slept in those bedrooms?
In the main bedroom, Dustin and Kendra slept in those. And the second bedroom, it didn't appear that anybody slept in that bedroom.
Were you able during the search to determine where Dakota Van Patten sleeps?
Yes.
And can you describe for us which part of the house was his sleeping space, his living space?
There was a small room in the northeast corner of the basement that appeared to have drywall just recently put in with a mattress on the floor.
Within the house, how do you access the basement?
Through the kitchen.
And was there an exterior door or an exit in the basement that would get you outside?
No.
So if you want to leave the basement, you come back up the stairs that go into the kitchen to leave?
Yes.
How did you determine that the area you described in that basement was the area primarily occupied by Dakota Van Patten?
Upon speaking with Kendra and Dustin, they indicated his bedroom was in the basement.
Did you find during the search items in the basement area that also corroborated or confirmed that Dakota Van Patten spent his time, slept in that area?
Yes.
Can you tell us, in the basement area, starting in that northeast designated bedroom area, what you found during the search?
We located gray Nike tennis shoes, a dark colored sweatpants, and a clear pair of eyeglasses.
Starting with the gray Nike sneakers that you found down there, where specifically were those located?
Under the mattress, kind of between the wall and the mattress.
And what about those Nike tennis shoes led you to believe they belonged to Dakota Van Patten?
They were consistent with the shoes worn in the Quick Star video of him with McKinley Louisma.
You also mentioned some dark gray sweatpants, is that right?
Yes.
What was significant or telling about the dark gray sweatpants that were located in that bedroom?
They were also consistent with the pants that Dakota was wearing in the Quick Star video.
You noted that a clear pair of eyeglasses was found. Tell us specifically where that clear pair of eyeglasses was located.
On the west wall, there was a TV sitting on top of a metal filing cabinet. The metal filing cabinet was turned sideways. Just on the front side of the metal cabinet, the eyeglasses were on the floor.
In all of the surveillance video that was collected that showed you what Dakota Van Patten was wearing the night that Melody Hoffmanin was murdered, was Van Patten wearing clear glasses?
No, he was not.
So what about those glasses made you think that they were important or relevant to your investigation?
We were told early in the investigation that Melody was wearing clear eyeglasses when she left the residence on the evening that she was murdered.
And when her body was found at Lily Lake, did she have eyeglasses on?
No, she did not.
Based on what you were able to develop and ascertain during this investigation, did you form the opinion that the glasses found in Dakota Van Patten's bedroom belonged to Melody Hoffmanin?
Yes.
Like a trophy?
Yes.
Down in that basement area, did you also locate a footlocker?
Yes.
Can you describe for us where within the basement this footlocker was located?
It was approximately 5 feet away from the stairwell, kind of between the bedroom, Dakota's bedroom, and the stairwell.
Were you or investigators during this search able to make entry into the footlocker?
Yes.
And was there anything within that footlocker that you believed could potentially be relevant to your investigation?
Yes.
Can you tell us what specific items were found in the footlocker that was in that basement area?
There was a Vanguard revolver pistol, as well as several different knives.
And what about the knives? I know it may seem obvious, but why were you concerned with the knives?
Because we knew that during the commission of the murder, Melody had been stabbed or slashed.
At the time that the search warrant at this residence was being executed, were investigators still trying to determine what weapon was used to repeatedly slash her back and stab her?
Yes.
once those knives were found in that footlocker, were they photographed?
Yes.
Were they also collected?
Yes, they were.
What's done with knives in a situation like this after they're collected?
They were placed into evidence, and then we later determined which ones would go to the lab to see if there was any biological data on, or fluids on the knives.
The knives that were found in the footlocker, were they or were they not determined to have biological matter on them?
They were never sent to the lab.
Were there any other knives found in the basement area?
Yes, there was a deep freeze appliance in the northwest corner of the basement. Inside that, I located a white-handled knife that had a serrated edge.
When you were conducting and executing these search warrants, you had knowledge that there was some sort of a knife or cutting instrument used, but at that time, did you have any other details related to the physicality of the knife that you thought were important or that had been relayed to you that you should be looking for?
No.
So any knife at this point was fair game?
Yes.
All of them are found, photographed, collected?
That's correct.
Later in the investigation, was it determined collectively throughout or with the investigators what items of evidence would be sent off to the DCI lab?
Yes, it was.
Were there any other items of clothing that were or was found in the basement area that drew your attention to them?
Yes.
Firstly, tell us where the item was located.
It was located in the washer or dryer area. I'm not sure, I didn't locate it.
And what specifically was located in the washer dryer area?
It was a dark green hooded sweatshirt that was consistent to the one we believed Dakota was wearing in the Quick Start video.
Was this an Under Armour sweatshirt?
Yes, it was.
And did it have a logo or a symbol that was visible on the exterior of the sweatshirt?
Yes, it did.
And where was that symbol located on the sweatshirt?
It was a rather large logo on the chest.
So not only the color being consistent with what you saw Dakota Van Patten wearing in the surveillance videos, but in the surveillance videos, were you also able to make a comparison to that big logo on the chest area of that sweatshirt?
Yes.
And in your opinion, were they similar at minimum?
Yes.
In the basement of this house on 15th Street, was there anything else that was located during the execution of this search warrant that was determined to be important?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
There was a bundle of green paracord.
And when you say a bundle of it, if you can recall or if you know, approximately how many feet of cord was included in that bundle that was found?
I don't recall. I didn't check the package.
When you found that paracord, did it, by its appearance when you found it, appear to be missing parts of it?
Yes, I believe so.
Was one of the ends or both of the ends frayed, if you can recall?
I think one of the ends was frayed, but I don't know if both were.
The rope that was found in the basement, had you, during this investigation, seen rope that was consistent in color, shape, size to the rope that was found in the basement of Dakota Van Patten?
Yes.
Where'd you see that rope?
It was inside of a green bag that was taken from the vehicle of McKinley Louisma.
During this search, would it be fair to say that the whole house was searched and not just the basement area?
Yes.
So was it the southeast bedroom of this house where the brother and the brother's girlfriend resided?
Yes.
What, if anything, of evidentiary value was located within that bedroom?
A machete.
Can you tell us where that machete was found?
Under the bed near where your head would lay.
If I recall correctly from reading your reports, was there also a semi-automatic pistol located in that bedroom?
Yes.
And that pistol, or gun, whatever we're calling it, where was that located?
Also in that bedroom inside of a locked container.
And when you say that it was inside of a locked container, was it a container that was capable of being locked, or was it locked at the time that it was located?
It was locked at the time it was located.
And you noted that photos were taken during the search at 270 15th Street Northwest.
Yes.
Your Honor, I would like to show this witness exhibits, or what have previously been marked as exhibits 13A through 13GG. Are those up for you, investigator?
Yes.
I'm going to scroll through these quickly. Do you recognize the photos?
Yes.
Are these photos that were taken during the execution of the search warrant at 270 15th Street Northwest?
All but one of them was.
And which one, to be clear, was not?
13GG.
Was that photo taken from that address?
Yes.
The item in that photograph was collected earlier?
Yes.
And was it collected earlier when you first went there and made contact with Dakota Van Patten?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, the state would offer 13A through 13GG.
Any objection to 13A through 13GG?
No objection.
Exhibits 13A through 13GG are admitted.
May we approach, Your Honor?
You may. All right, jurors, I understand that we're at a good breaking point. I want to make sure that we're out on time today, being that it's election day. I want to make sure that anyone who wants to vote today gets to the polls and isn't waiting needlessly. So we're going to go ahead and recess for the day. We'll start up tomorrow at 9 o'clock.